You all know the equation for photosynthesis. The equation for cell respiration is the exact opposite of it. Cell respiration is the process of making ATP by breaking down organic compounds, usually glucose. Cellular respiration starts with glycolysis. Glycolysis is anaerobic, which means it does not need oxygen to work. Glycolysis is the process of converting one molecule of glucose into two molecules of pyruvic acid. It produces 2 ATP and 2 NADH.
The Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle is used in all organisms to gain energy. Pyruvic acid reacts with coenzyme A to produce acetyl-CoA. Oxaloacetic acid reacts with a molecule called acetyl-CoA, producing citric acid with a byproduct of CoA. The citric acid then releases a CO2 molecule and hydrogen atom to form a 5-carbon compound, making NADH and a proton in the process. This step occurs again, creating another NADH, but this time also making an ATP. The 4-carbon compound changes into another 4-carbon compound, turning FAD into FADH2 in the process. This compound releases a hydrogen atom to regenerate oxaloacetic acid, starting the cycle again and creating yet another NADH. The whole process repeats twice for each glucose molecule. To sum it up, for the Krebs cycle, for one glucose you can get 6 NADH, 2 FADH2, and 2 ATP. The Krebs cycle takes place in the mitochondria matrix.
Why do we need all those molecules? These molecules are needed for the electron transport chain. The electron transport chain produces most of the ATP needed by organisms. In the electron transport chain, electrons are moved into the mitochondrial matrix and protons are moved out into the space between the inner and outer membrane of the mitochondria. NADH and FADH2 give their electrons, turning back into NAD plus and FAD to be used in the Krebs cycle. The concentration gradient drives the protons and electrons through a protein called ATP synthase, generating ATP. And oxygen is waiting at the end to catch the protons and electrons, which turns it into two water molecules.
The products of cellular respiration. One NADH is converted to 3 ATP and one FADH2 is converted to 2 ATP during chemiosmosis. From glycolysis, 2 ATP and 2 NADH are produced. When pyruvic acid is converted to acetyl-CoA, 2 NADH are produced. During the Krebs cycle, 2 ATP, 6 NADH, and 2 FADH2 are produced, which amounts to a total of 38 ATP for each molecule of glucose. But without oxygen, fermentation. Pyruvic acid is converted to lactic acid instead of acetyl-CoA in a process called lactic acid fermentation. After glycolysis, pyruvic acid combines with a proton and a hydrogen atom to produce lactic acid. Lactic acid is used to produce dairy products like cheese and yogurt, and also occurs when muscle cells lack oxygen, which is when muscle soreness comes from. A different kind of fermentation occurs when a CO2 molecule is removed from pyruvic acid. This leaves a 2-carbon compound that combines with a proton and a hydrogen atom to make ethyl alcohol. This is how alcoholic beverages and bread are made.